The Tetons, the Lost River Range, and the Wind River Range are just a few of the incredible mountain ranges found in the US's northern Rocky Mountains in the Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana border regions. The mountains are home to a huge range of steep, rugged peaks and wide open skies with stretching vistas. They host thousands of miles of fun trails that run through deep valleys, green forests, grassy meadows, and hidden passes. When my friend from the UK texted me asking to come visit, I knew that it was the place to go. So he booked a flight and met me there. We are just outside of Idaho Falls, and in the GX is my friend Conrad, who just flew in from the UK yesterday, and he's gonna come out with me and my boy. We're gonna go out and do some camping around basically the Idaho, Wyoming, Montana border, which is one of the prettiest areas in the US. I've just got done airing down, and we're gonna head that way towards the mountains. Our route started in the gently rolling hills to the east of Idaho Falls, but the farmland quickly fell away to the public lands of Caribou National Forest, where things started to become more wild and more interesting. For this trip, I was in the 2022 Toyota Tundra with an Alucab canopy camper on the back, and Conrad was in the 2016 Lexus GX that I'd recently picked up as a reliable backup adventure vehicle and for my wife and friends to take out with me. We'd just outfitted it days before with a lift, winch, bumper, rack, and rooftop tent, and I'd be happy to have it on standby later in the trip.
Scenery along this road is steadily getting better and better.
Yeah, it's kind of changing from just like scrub to like different types of trees and like bendy roads, and it's just nice.
Although I'd carefully put a route together using Onyx Off-Road, this is one of the parts of the world where meticulous route planning doesn't actually seem to matter. You'll find beautiful trails and campsites no matter where you go, and you'll constantly run into interesting things on your travels.
I've got a thing on my map called the Brockman Guard Station. I have no idea what it is or what they're guarding.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
You want to go investigate?
Let's do it.
I thought that trailer was it for a second. Drive along, we saw this Brockman Guard Station on the map, and I have no idea what you'd need a guard station out here in the middle of nowhere for. So I want to go see what it is for. See what it is. Hopefully there's some information out here. Well, I don't really know what it is. It's looks like it's a warming hut now. So you can come out here, if you're out here, I guess hunting, hiking, go in there and hang out. Lots of firewood out there. I don't know what makes it or made it a guard station. Unfortunately, I feel like that was not worth the several bug bites that I got walking in there. It was just a cabin in the woods. But you never know. Sometimes you do these little side stops and they end up being really cool and worth every second. And at least this area is really pretty. You know, getting ready to drive down this beautiful valley here.
The valley followed a meandering stream that was surrounded by thick bushes and deep grass.
Keep your eye out for moose. They like to paddle along creeks like the one off to our left.
We had our eyes peeled for wildlife as we made our way along the beautiful green valley.
guard station off to our right.
Although there is not a lot of information on the individual guard stations, I read that most were constructed within the first few decades of the 1900s as remote workstations or shelter for early Forest Service employees. As Forest Service roads were constructed, allowing quick access to the forests, the guard stations became less relevant. Today, many of them are available to rent out or stay the night in.
Random little hut with like a window in the roof.
Yeah, odd looking thing.
We had been thoroughly enjoying the relaxing drive through the Caribou Mountains, and as we rounded a corner, it dropped down into a steeper valley, getting even better.
Oh wow, that's pretty.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
The terrain had become more mountainous as we'd made our way east, and what had started as a small meandering stream had built up to a beautiful winding river with inviting campsites along the entire length of it.
Great looking riverside campsites down there. Like there's a road that just led down to the river. Would have been awesome if it wasn't so early in the day.
Yeah, it seems a really nice area. The water in the river seems like crystal clear and everything.
Looks like more good camping off to the left. Unfortunately, we're leaving the creek and all its awesome little campsites, but we're going to go up into the hills, so we might have a campsite with a view up here. Oh, you're fast too.
I think you tired it out. It's not having a go at me.
This entire route has been put together using Onyx Off-Road, which is a mapping app and the sponsor of this video. And so far, every road that we've done has been one of those recommended trails, those user-submitted trails that have details on the difficulty, things you can expect along the way, some pictures, distance, time taken, that kind of thing, which makes it super easy to put together routes. And for this particular trip, with my friend Conrad joining me, I wanted to stick to the easy ones, the easy routes. So everything that I've done has been those green trails on the map, which has, like I said, made planning this whole thing very easy. I think I just spotted a really cool campsite. So I'm gonna back up and check it out. Not bad, huh? Yeah, this is a pretty cool campsite. It's there's not many level spots, but there's a nice little fire ring. Not that we can have a fire right now. There's a fire ban basically the entire half of the country, but great view just over there through the trees. Still too early in the day to camp. All these really cool spots we keep passing, and it's too early. But I'll mark this one on the map for Patreon subscribers. That way, if you come through this way and the timing works out, you got this or all of the creekside campsites, which were awesome.
This is a nice road, cool views.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Looks like a big bird up there, some kind of eagle maybe. there's a moose in the water down there.
Another nice little campsite off to the left.
It's a nice breeze here too.
I'm going to drive half a mile up the road and check out another spot that's on the map, and I'll come back here and let you know.
We've been trying to decide on a campsite for tonight. We've got two choices. There's the one Conrad's at, which is a creekside campsite. Level, it's private, it's windy so it's nice and cool, and there's really no bugs or flies there. The other option is this, and this one is not level. It is windy, but there are a lot of bugs, and you can see there's people around. I think it's gonna be really difficult to get comfy here because it's not level. But the eagles here are amazing. There's at least 6 of them. Look at this.
We decided that we're going to go over to the one that Conrad's at, just because this one is so off level that I don't think we can comfortably get level here. And then, of course, the one Conrad's at is also it's a little more private, and apparently there's no bugs there. He's been hanging out there while I check this one out.
Yeah, this seems like a good little spot. It's nice having the creek flowing right here. Get to listen to that tonight. And yeah, definitely level as well. You can see, didn't really take too much effort. Ended up putting the traction boards down. I could have just parked the other way around, but I wanted to have the shade from the awning so we could hang out under that because it is still kind of hot. And now it's just time to play under the awning. Last summer when Will and I were out traveling, we came up with a way of rating campsites. There was the location on a scale of 1 through 10, where 10 is amazing, best campsite ever. And I'd give this one probably a 7. I really like it. It was nice having the creek running next to us last night. But as soon as the wind dropped off, the mosquitoes came out. So we have a separate rating for mosquitoes, where you got A through F, where A is like there isn't a single one, F is it fails, you left, because they're so bad. And this one, I'd probably give a C. As soon as the wind stopped, they all came out, they started biting. So this campsite, Gonna give it a 7C. Unfortunately, yesterday when I was filling up the water tank, I forgot to put the cap back on. I started driving and lost about 2 to 3 gallons of water into the cabinet system, the SHW off-road cabinet system in the back of the A-cab, where all of our clothes are stored. So I laid them out in the sun this morning because when I got in last night to choose what he was going to wear tomorrow or today, most of his clothes were soaking wet. So I got them all drying, and I keep getting bitten while they're out here drying. So we go hide in there and get ready for the day.
A short time later, we were packing up and ready to head out.
We've just pulled up to the side of the reservoir at one of the boat ramps here to air up because we are about to go onto pavement, and we're going to go on pavement for a significant distance. Go all the way around the reservoir. I think we'll go like 50, 60 miles. I actually haven't looked at the map, so I don't know exactly how many miles. But we're going to head over this mountain range to the Wind River mountain range, where there's some fantastic trails and some great camping. Should be really pretty.
The Wind River Range was a little out of the way, but I'd been wanting to go back through the area since driving through when I filmed the original Overland movie in 2021. There's one particular road that takes you right along the Continental Divide with incredible views off to the Teton Mountains that had been on my mind. Although it'd been a beautiful drive, it was a little further than I realized, so just over 100 miles later, we pulled up alongside the Green River to air down.
We made it over to the Wind River Range. We've stopped at a little campsite to air down so the little guy can get out and stretch his legs, get chased by flies. And we're airing down again just because we're going to go back up into the mountains and the hills behind me. And I've got a few campsites marked up there because I've been through that area a couple of times. I've taken 2 different routes. This time around I've planned a 3rd route, but follows some of the same spots where I've got campsites marked. So there's some good ones. The hard part's just going to be picking which one we want to go to. While Conrad's airing down, I took a very smelly diaper, the back of my truck, put it on the back of his. He can take care of it.
Once we were done airing down, we loaded up, and with this smelly payload in tow, Conrad followed me along the Green River Valley and up into the Wind River Range.
One big boy coming this way. 2 coming this way.
Holy, that is a big boy.
Yeah, I've always wondered how practical those things are. I've you've got to be very limited in where you can go, but obviously they can make it through stuff like this, no issue. Towing, too.
It's not often you see earth roamers out in the wild. I'd never actually seen one on an unpaved road before, and we'd had two come along at once. With their price tags, I don't see myself ever owning even a used one, but I'd still like to take something like it out someday to see what they're capable of.
Really pretty view behind us.
Oh yeah, I've looked in the mirror.
With it getting on in the day and a hungry 2-year-old in the back seat, we started thinking about camp. I'd been aiming for a campsite that I had saved ahead that was next to a lake that had a name that should have set off some alarm bells.
I do have a campsite marked just off to the right ahead, next to this lake that is called Mosquito Lake.
Yeah, this seems good. Like, got mountains, got lake, got trees, woods.
Hey, I'm gonna go right here. I don't know what you were saying because I have a 2-year-old in the back going da-da, 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 da-da.
We've got ourselves a beautiful spot right next to Mosquito Lake. Not sure you believe this, but the bugs are bad. Why would they name it Mosquito Lake? That's just asking for trouble. Yeah, they're awful. But it's definitely a pretty spot. Look at the views over the Wind River Range there. I'd give this, 7.5D, maybe 8D, because it's real pretty. Great location. Mosquitoes, not great. It's actually just started to rain. It's not a lot of rain, but big raindrops that keep falling around me. So I've put the little canopy thing out on the tent so I can open the windows, get it cooling in there. And I think rather than put the awning out, we're just gonna go hide inside there. That way we can escape the rain and the bugs. And Conrad's gonna join us since I do have an awning for this one. I've got the rugged bound ostrich wing 270 awning, but I never got around to putting it on there. I didn't have time before I left. So he doesn't have anywhere to hide or to escape the rain. So he's gonna join us in there too. Just seconds later, we'd been hit by a sudden downpour. Thankfully, we stayed comfortable and dry under the awning and hidden in the alley cab, and almost as quickly as it started, the clouds passed, the rain stopped, and the sun and blue skies returned. Good morning. It is a very damp morning this morning. When I woke up, everything was still kind of damp, soaked through from last night, and all the trees around us, still water on top of the awning, on top of the tent. And just as I got the camera out, it's just started to rain again. So I think it's going to be a damp day today. It definitely started out damp, but I can't complain. The northwest of the US had been subjected to record heat and dry weather with some of the worst fires in years, so the rain was a nice change. The rain finally let up enough for us to pack everything away. I see the sun poking through the clouds, so hopefully there's not much more rain today, especially as when we start heading that way, there are some incredible views that I'm definitely going to want to get the drone out for. So let's go. This area of Wyoming is a great place to drive through. It has patches of dense forest spread between wide open meadows and hills.
Mountains off to the right look pretty cool.
The bush and grass-covered openings give great views of distant mountains and dramatic skies on the horizon, which is one of the main reasons I wanted to come through this way. There are a few wide, maintained roads through the Wind River Range, and while they are well worth traveling, we were heading off onto one of the lesser known and less driven routes. After passing through the gate, the road followed a narrower and slower route through the trees. While the new route wasn't difficult, it was definitely more fun and interesting than the wide and smooth Forest Service roads. There were a few ruts, dips, tight squeezes under branches, and everyone's favorite, big puddles to drive through. Halfway along our less traveled detour, the road climbed up onto a ridgeline that makes up the Great Continental Divide of North America, giving amazing views off to the Pacific and Atlantic watersheds.
See the Tetons off to the left in the sunshine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, these views are beautiful up here. Just all around. It's a great ridge line.
Yeah, panoramic views.
Yeah, this is a cool little drive. I did this one, I don't know, 4 years ago maybe? I'm happy to come back here.
At the end of the ridgeline, the road dropped back down through one of the many patches of forest, thick with blooming wildflowers, making its way down several steep and rocky slopes towards a nearby lake.
Lunch requests from the back seat.
We made it down to Fish Lake. It's a beautiful little spot we stopped at when I came through here last time. I don't remember when it was, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago maybe. And at the time I thought this would make a great campsite. And I still think it'd make a great campsite, but it's still too early in the day. So I'm going to stop here and eat lunch. Well, we are all refueled and fed, and we're going to continue heading down this mountain here, which actually starts with a very steep rocky hill climb and then goes down, and head over towards the Tetons.
The lake is a popular fishing and boating spot, so after making our way around it, we were back on the well-maintained unpaved roads heading north towards Highway 26. We've just reached 26, which is the highway that heads over to the Tetons. So we've got significant pavement for the next day or so, depending on how long we stay in the area. So we're airing up,
And then I think the first order of business is going to be to find a campsite. Right now it's only like 2 o'clock, but what I think we should do is drop one of the vehicles at a campsite before we head into either the national park or into town, whatever we end up doing, because the campsites around there fill up super fast.
The drive along the highway is a good one, with steep cliffs and mountains constantly framing the road. To make it even better, as you make your way west, the impressive Tetons slowly come into view.
Those are some big mountains.
Yeah, welcome to the Tetons.
How'd you like that tent?
It's nice.
Yeah? What if I told you that tent is $6,000?
Holy, that's a lot. That's a lot for a tent.
Anyway, we have staked our claim to a campsite. I think it's like 3:30 now, and these will start filling up very quickly. There were a lot of RVs in the other ones. A lot of the other campsites have views, but the ones with views are all taken. So we'll take this one, and I know if we walk up this little hill here, there's a great view across the valley. But now we're going to head into town. Conrad has to pick up a t-shirt for his wife, Steph, and we've got to throw away some trash. Conrad, you go throw away that diaper that's hanging off the back of the...
I saw that.
You did?
Yeah, I got a nice whiff every time I go around the back of the car.
I was wondering if you were going to say anything.
I'm just too nice.
In the town of Jackson, we walked around enjoying the attractions and sights before grabbing a bite to eat for dinner, then heading back out to the campsite that we'd saved earlier.
We made it back to camp just as it's cooling off. Seems like a really nice evening this evening. This campsite seems pretty good too. So far, I don't want to jinx it, but no mosquitoes. So I'd probably give this one, I don't know, it could be a 7A. There are a few flies, so maybe a 7B. We're gonna head up onto the hill and see if we can catch the sunset. It is almost the little guy's bedtime, but I might let him stay up a little late if the sunset's close. Just don't tell his mom. Long grass.
Yeah.
Do you want me to hold you?
No.
Well, this is a great viewpoint up here. It's I think it's gonna be a good sunset. It's pretty hazy right now. You can look down the valley there, and I guess it's a ton of smoke. You know, there's wildfires to the north in Canada, a bunch over in Oregon. There's probably some in Idaho as well. A lot of smoke's coming over here, which obviously sucks, but makes for good sunsets. Morning. Today we are going to head into Teton National Park and check out some of the sights and attractions. It's actually something we're going to go down to Jackson to do, and we're going to leave the GX here, the Lexus here, to hold this campsite, because it's a good one. It's one of the more secluded ones up here. Hopefully today goes well. My son, for some reason last night, decided he was going to stay up till 11. I was just bouncing around the inside of the tent, and then woke up at 7. So he's really tired this morning. So we'll see how it goes. But for now, got to pack up the Tundra and get going.
There aren't many other mountain ranges as steep and jagged as the Teton Mountains, and what makes them particularly impressive is they rise up nearly vertically out of the flat valley of Jackson Hole. To get to the top of the mountains, we'd be taking the aerial tramway out of Teton village. The tram climbs over 4,000 feet in around 9 minutes to the top of the 10,450-foot tall Rendezvous Mountain, where there are some fantastic views. After walking around and admiring the sights, we made our way back down the tramway to explore some more around the park before heading back to our campsite to relax for the evening.
It's chilly this morning, and I think part of that's because the sun is trying to fight its way through the haze. I can't smell the smoke, but it is very, very hazy to the point where we can't see the mountains on the other side of the valley. So I assume it is smoke from a fire somewhere nearby. It's also early. This is the earliest we've got up, and that's because we're going to head into Yellowstone today. And Yellowstone is enormous. There's so much to see and so many hikes, and it's not possible to do it all in one day, but we get as much as we can done today. So we're up, we're ready to go.
It took a while to get into the center of Yellowstone National Park, but we showed up just in time to see Old Faithful erupting. The geyser basin around Old Faithful is worth spending some time walking around since it has dozens of colorful bubbling pools and steaming vents. From the geyser basin, we made our way through Hayden Valley in hope of seeing some wildlife. There's always the chance of seeing wolves and bears, and you're almost guaranteed to see massive herds of bison along the Yellowstone River. These huge animals can weigh over a ton and usually slowly make their way through the grass, eating and rolling in the dirt. Don't be fooled though, they're fast, and just like any of the wild animals in Yellowstone, you don't want to get close. At the north end of the park, we stopped off at the Mammoth Terraces to admire the unusual formations. We'd been looking out for bears all day and really wanted to see a grizzly. On our way out of the park, we finally got our wish.
Yeah, it's the bear.
My 2-year-old was very excited to see the bears, which made steady filming very difficult.
We are at Red Rock Pass, where we're airing down, ready to continue on our trail. Last night, we stayed at a KOA just outside of West Yellowstone. We had to get some laundry done, and it was just a good, convenient place, although very expensive, especially even for a KOA, really expensive. As we came up the pass, there was a surprise hailstorm that kind of came out of nowhere, and as we pulled over to air down, the last few drops of rain were coming. So hopefully now it's all done and we can continue in the sunshine.
When we'd left Yellowstone National Park, we'd crossed from Wyoming into Montana, where we'd stayed at the KOA. To reach Red Rock Pass, we'd briefly dropped down into Idaho, and at the top of the pass, we'd gone back into Montana. Our route took us along the base of the hazy Centennial Mountains, which make up the border between Idaho and Montana, following the edge of the flat Alaska Basin and Centennial Valley.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool road.
I don't know what birds those are, but they're very beaky.
The flat Centennial Valley has huge areas of wetlands, several large lakes, and the Red Rock River, which makes the area perfect for birds and wildlife to gather. The area has large chunks of wilderness and wildlife refuge as a result. Halfway along the Centennial mountain range, we reached the small community of Lakeview, which is made up of just a handful of small wooden buildings that have mostly stood still in time. Shortly after passing through Lakeview, we took a sharp turn to the north to cross the wide, flat valley. At the far side of the valley, we crossed the Brundage Bridge over the Red Rock River that was absolutely teeming with birds before heading up into the rolling, grassy hills between the Snowcrest and the gravelly mountain ranges. With it getting later in the day, we started thinking about stopping to camp. Thankfully, we had plenty of options along the winding Ruby River.
There's another nice little campsite there.
Yeah, you got a nice little creek, mountains in the distance. That's pretty nice, that one.
This one's occupied. We could ask them to move.
Hey!
But I'm not going to do that because I'm a coward.
Oh my god.
A cow?
We found ourselves at a nice little campsite. I was starting to worry a little bit. When we entered the national forest, there was a sign that said that you're only allowed to camp in designated sites, and there weren't any for dozens of miles. Like, we probably drove for a couple hours and didn't see a single site. But then when we dropped down into the valley next to this creek here, we started seeing a bunch of them. And the first few were really overgrown. Some were very occupied, but we found one. We came through a big field of cows to get here and found this one right next to the river here. So this is a nice spot. But more importantly, what is that bug on my roof? That thing's a monster. Look at its antenna. What you got in here? Is that part of your runway?
The next morning, we got all packed up, took the trash out of our vehicles, found a place for the smelly diaper, watched a bird chase a squirrel.
It's a bird fighting a squirrel.
Oh, yeah.
And then left the campsite through a field of cows to continue our trip north.
Thou!
How did you know that's what he was saying? We've just stopped at Ruby Reservoir to air up because we are going to go out onto the pavement for a while. Actually, first stop is going to be over at Virginia City. Conrad found an ice cream store, and it looks like it's going to be a perfect place to stop, get lunch, and some ice cream. The little guy just figured out that he likes ice cream when he realized that he can eat it without getting brain freeze, so we'll pick some up for him. What have you got? You got stones?
Virginia City was a complete surprise. It was just a small detour off our route, and one that we were only taking because we wanted some ice cream, but it turns out it's actually a really cool little town that looks like it's barely changed since the late 1800s. Like many other towns in the area, Virginia City was a boomtown that formed after the discovery of gold. It developed so rapidly that for the first few years there was no law enforcement or justice system, but it ended up being the capital of Montana Territory and the site of Montana's first newspaper and public school. Unlike a lot of other boomtowns, Virginia City managed to survive thanks to early preservation efforts and the successful tourism industry, and some great ice cream.
We just stopped just north of Butte, Montana to air down because we just got some unpaved roads and we're going to be following them for a while. I noticed off to the side of the road there was a little trail heading up into the trees alongside a creek. Decided to walk her down here, check it out while Conrad's airing down. There's a nice little campsite up here. It's actually late enough in the day that we could camp here. It's pretty nice. I might suggest that we do that.
We decided to go for it. After getting set up and settled in, Conrad made an unforgivable error.
Put the Jeep in the hole.
He doesn't have a Jeep. What do you mean, put the Jeep in? Which one's the Jeep, Conrad?
Well, clearly that blue one.
The blue one?
Yeah, they're all the same.
That's a
It's
Jeep?
got a tyre on the back and stuff, you know.
That is not a Jeep. This is how I know you're not ready to do tougher trails.
It is a cool and damp morning this morning. A little bit of light rain going on. It's been going on for a couple of hours now. And honestly, it's quite pleasant. With the heat waves that we had last week and the last few weeks before that, where it was just awful, it's been really nice to have some cooler and some mild weather. And I'm okay with some rain as well, because there's a lot of fires going on right now. I mean, you've probably seen the haze and the footage from the fires. So hopefully that helps with that. So now I need to get packed up, and we're going to start heading north through the hills here, through the mountains here, towards the spot that we stayed at. I don't know how many years ago it was when I made the Overland movie, but it's up on Granite Butte, which is a really cool spot. So hopefully we can make it that far today.
On the climb up from Basin, Montana, I'd noticed a few old structures and spoil tips.
Looks like there's some old mines around us.
There are actually close to 300 old mines and mining claims in the Basin mining district, many of them containing large concentrations of uranium. I later found out that some of the old mines in the area are used for the unusual practice of radon therapy. People pay to go into the mines to get relief from various ailments by exposing themselves to the naturally emitted radioactive radon gas.
So many trees down here.
Yeah, there is a lot.
Oh, you know what? They look cut. I wonder if those were ones that were dead from the bark beetle.
Bark beetles are tiny beetles that have been wreaking havoc with millions of trees across the US, particularly in the Rocky Mountains. Since the start of the 21st century, an area of forest larger than the state of Utah has been killed off because of them. It's something that's getting worse too, since milder winters have allowed the bark beetle populations to rapidly grow and spread. The widespread effect of the beetles often isn't too noticeable from the ground, but it's hard to miss in the drone shots.
There's a moose in the field off to the left when we get into this clearing.
I can hear a motorbike or something coming up behind.
It must have been spooked by the sound of the motorcycles.
A little over 10 miles in, we turned off onto some smaller, unmaintained roads.
I want you to back up a little bit and take this corner wider.
Should we call the harbour master out?
That's rude, and I represent that.
little worried about this tree.
With the Alu cab on the back, the Tundra is a big truck. Most of the time, it's not an issue, but occasionally I have a problem with clearance under downed trees, so make sure I carry a small saw with me for cutting and trimming.
There it is. Alright, what do you think?
This tree was a tight squeeze for me, but I made it through. Of course, Conrad had no problems at all in the GX, even with the tall rooftop tent.
We keep passing cyclists up this road. I think we've passed maybe 5 or 6. And apparently I stopped to talk to one of them. Apparently they're doing the Continental Divide Trail. They're biking it instead of driving it, which it's got to be tough. Right now this is just like straight uphill, and they're all exhausted. I can't imagine how long it takes. I've done parts of it in the truck and it took long enough driving it. And I have all this equipment with me, and they're just on a bicycle, going slow with basically a tiny little tent and a camping mat. This road is a lot more technical than I remember it. I'm not saying it's difficult. I'm not having to spot or anything. We're just driving, but it's just slow going. And I was hoping to make it to Granite Butte or the Granite Butte Lookout tonight. It's currently 2 o'clock. And at this rate, I don't think it's going to happen.
just as the roads were improving, I noticed I had a big problem.
So heading up the trail, I got out to film Conrad for a second and noticed a really strong smell of gasoline. And I looked underneath the vehicle and it is dripping gas. So I pulled over, take a look. There is a hole in my gas tank where we drilled in to put in the gasoline heater, and it's very likely that's the problem. But it's in the top, which wouldn't explain why it's dripping. So I'm gonna get underneath and take a look. Well, it's not coming from the gasoline heater. I think it's coming from the fuel line. It looks like there might be a hole in the fuel line, and there is an open recall on this with no remedy for the fuel line. So, I mean, it's just dripping constantly.
We made it down to some maintained roads, and this leads out to the highway to Helena. So we're going to be able to get down this way. We did have to cut through some private property with no trespassing signs, but thankfully the owners were there. I don't know if I want to say that they were willing to let me through, but they let me through. So thankfully, otherwise I would have to go back up the hill. I did move my boy over to ride with Conrad as well. I just wasn't comfortable having him in here sitting above that fuel leak. I do think the risk is low. It's just dripping straight down onto the ground right behind the gas tank. So it's not anywhere near the exhaust. It's not anywhere near the brakes. It's not near anything hot, but it's a risk I didn't want to take.
In Helena, I got to the Toyota dealer, and within 15 minutes, they had my truck up on a lift, and a short time later, they confirmed it was the fuel line. They ordered the parts to replace the line and prevent the new one from rubbing, but the Tundra was down. Thankfully, we still had the GX, so we headed back down to Idaho, met up with some friends, and got ready to go back out to a particular mountain pass.
We have quite the crew with us here today. We picked up some people from CBI who are following us in several of their trucks. We're all heading out across, right now, the Lost River Range over to the Lemhi's. And really, my whole reason for coming out to do this trip today was because we tried to do this last year, in July last year. Tried to find a pass across the Lemhi Mountains, and the road we took was blocked by an avalanche. So we're going to go back over there and see if it's actually doable. See if we can create a new route across the Lemhi's. But on the way, we're going to go visit some of the beautiful river valleys. With any luck, we will be off-road all day today. That's assuming the pass is possible. So we've just got done airing down, and now we're going to head around Mount 4. Just the big mountain you can see in the background there.
We had 4 vehicles in the convoy, including a brand new Toyota Land Cruiser, a brand new Ford Bronco, a brand new Toyota Tacoma, and us leading the way in an 8-year-old Lexus GX. Our route started on the western edge of the Lost River Range, heading east across the mountains. After climbing over Double Spring Pass, we turned off the well-maintained roads, taking smaller and less traveled side roads with lots of hidden gems and fantastic views.
a road off to our left that goes up to the saddle. Who wants to go up there and tell us how it is?
I think we should. Okay, we'll go. Adam, you want to come up with us too? Yeah, I'll follow.
It looks pretty steep. How is it?
Yeah, it's pretty steep, but it's not too bad.
So what do you think? Can you camp up there?
Oh yeah, you camp up there. There's a nice overlook on both sides. It's pretty awesome.
Add that to the list.
Add it to the list. It's a good one.
It's definitely a spot I want to come back to as I explore more of the small roads in the area.
Got a moose at 11 o'clock.
As we made our way back west into the valleys of the Lost River Range, the smoke became thicker, shrouding the distant peaks in a grey haze.
It's pretty hazy up here.
Yeah, it sure is. I was hoping it'd be a little more clear. You know, hoping the mountains would keep the smoke out, but it's not looking like it.
One of the things I've noticed about traveling in Idaho is that there's a very small window between snow blocking the mountain roads and intense wildfires with thick smoke everywhere. Sometimes that window is in early June, and other times it can be late July. The only time I haven't tried traveling Idaho is in the early fall, but I certainly plan to. As we approached the center of the Lost River Range, we were dwarfed by the sheer cliffs on the southern side of the valley, and I was struck by how different it was this time around. Last time I'd been here had been right at the start of July 2023, only a month earlier in the year, and the valley was cool, damp, and very green, and we'd just passed through a rainstorm that had left the skies dark and dramatic. This time, as we approached the campsite we'd be stopping at for lunch, everything was hot and parched.
What do you think of this campsite?
This one right here?
Yeah.
It's all right.
Right. Good spot for lunch.
It's all right. I'd eat lunch here
Yeah.
again. Like
If the time is right.
if I had to give it a Google review, it'd get like a 8.5 out of 10.
This is a beautiful spot to stop for lunch, and it's actually very different from when we camped here last year. Really cool to come here and see it again, even if it is super smoky. I really like this spot. I'll probably end up camping here again at some point in the future. We could actually continue along this valley all the way to the end, but I think it just dead ends at a footpath, some kind of hiking trail that goes up into the mountains there. So instead we're going to turn around and we're going to cross over, I think it's the Pomeroy River Valley, I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm sure someone will correct me on that, over to the Lemhi Mountains, because the whole point of me coming out here was to find out if that pass over the Lemhis exists. We were able to get to the top of them last time, but it's blocked by an avalanche, so I don't know if we can get all the way through if the avalanche has been cleared up, or if the road even exists the other side of the avalanche. So we're gonna go find out.
After a short section of backtracking, we were on new roads, crossing the wide and flat river valley towards the Lemhi Mountains. On our drive across the valley, Nathan noticed some hot springs labeled on Onyx maps.
Rob, is that Barney Hot Springs that's on this trail that you did? Is it a real hot springs?
I actually don't know. I didn't see that.
Looks like we go right by it.
Yeah, we should check it out when we get there.
This is something I love about exploring with Onyx maps open on CarPlay. There are things that you'll notice along the way that you never even knew existed.
It'd be nice for weather like this. The kids had a lot of fun playing in the hot springs or warm bath springs, but now they're out, they're drying off, and it's time to try and find the pass over these mountains behind me, somewhere off in that direction, if it actually exists.
I think we'll probably just try to meander our way out of here. I wish I could come, but
Yeah, that's all good.
I'm gonna have kids.
Yeah, you got a lot of kids.
So,
The whole CBI crew parted ways with us. They had to get their kids home, where I'd left my boy with my wife for the day, so Conrad and I went off alone to see if we can make it through the Lemhis. The curated trails on Onyx all have descriptions of their difficulty and what to expect, but this road was just marked as an unpaved road based on the multi-vehicle use maps, so we had no idea what to expect. It started out easy enough, in good condition and wide enough for large vehicles, but as we climbed, it got rougher and much narrower. The loose rocky climb ended up being so narrow in spots that I had to double check and triple check the different versions of the multi-vehicle use map to make sure it's actually open to passenger vehicles. At the top, we made our way along another shelf road, through the downed trees from the avalanche that had blocked us the previous year, and out onto the mountain pass.
Well, this is it. The pass across the Lemhi Mountains does exist. Last year we came up from that way, which is the hard way, and this year we came up from this way, which is the long way, and we've connected them up. Someone has obviously cleared the avalanche for us and put a lot of work into that, because there were a lot of trees there and a lot of, well, the snow probably melted, but a lot of trees to clear for sure. And we made it to the top. And this is the end of the video. It's been quite the trip. There's a lot of work that's gone into this. Obviously the filming and the editing, but also people like my wife, who's been in the background helping out a whole bunch too. And it takes time to get home and edit. I've got a lot of editing to do to put all of this together. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because obviously if you've made it this far, you liked the videos and you'd like to see more of them like it. So make sure you subscribe and then help me out. Give me an interaction, a like or comment, or even share it. That way YouTube algorithm will promote this to more people, and that helps me out too. Now we just gotta get down from here. I'm gonna try and decide, do we go the long way or the hard way? So that's the hard way down, but it's the short way down. We can go back the way we came. It's the long way down, but the easy way down. And I can drive. Which way do you want to go?
If you're up for it, I'm happy to go down this way.
You want to go the hard way?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're up for it.
It's really actually not difficult.
Yeah,
It's just very, very narrow, steep shelf road.
The only thing we had left to do was go down the steep, narrow ledge road with the loose rocks, and we had crossed the Lemhi Mountains. If this is something that you want to do for yourself, I've submitted it to Onyx, and I'll put a link with 20% discount in the description.